Okay,
we'll
you ready?
have to. And so, okay, hold on. Okay, so once I let everyone in, then I'm going to start going live. I'll give you the countdown. So I want to make sure that I haven't forgot anyone in here.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Thank you for the invite.
Yes, welcome.
Hello.
Nice to meet you face to face, Grant. And I've heard much about you through Nicole, of course, through many months. Hello, hello.
Hi, I can't see your face yet. I got to change my screen. There you are.
Good to see you, Nicole. Look at you. You don't age a day, do you? Good Lord, what's your secret, huh?
Working all the time, and caffeine is my secret.
Yeah, I gotta write that down. Hold on.
Probably about 50 years younger than you.
You might have a point.
The phenomenon keeps me young. How about that?
There's a phenomena behind it.
I like that, Nicole. Yeah.
Fantastic. What a great group of people we've got here tonight, huh?
It's gonna go fast. Yep. And you just joined. We've kind of asked everybody to stay muted. The chat room for our group is open. So if you want a private message or message to the group, that's where we can do it right now. And we're gonna allot kind of 5 minutes to everybody as we go along. So as soon as we get started, Grant's gonna do an intro. Desta, Sinead, and I are gonna kind of set the pace and share our messages, and then we're gonna start going down the list. Now, Desta and Sinead and Grant, do we need to have everybody find like their raised hand icon? So as
explain that where it is. Yeah, explain it to them.
I have to find it myself.
It's at the very bottom. Well, first, let me say right before we go live, I'm going to mute everyone. So everyone is going to be off just so we're not going to get any feedback or anything. And then you'll have to unmute yourself. And if you can't find it, as long as I can see who you are, I can help you unmute it. But everyone is going to be muted before we go live here. And what was the other thing? Oh, did you find it, Nicole?
I am just now looking. Is it under?
It's reactions. So if anyone wants to talk, maybe it'll be easier instead of putting it in the chat to just raise your hand or something. Yeah. And that's on the very bottom panel if you're on a.
Here, I'm putting mine up now.
Yeah, it's under reactions. So you can see that you can raise a hand or thumbs up or whatever.
Yep. Anybody?
Then we'll be able to see you. Yeah.
Raise your hand. And then as we call your name, you can remove that reaction and then we'll know who's still
I'm wondering if it might be easier to track the order of names showing up if people put them in the chat, because when people raise their hands, we don't necessarily know who put their hands up first. And I'm just concerned about people being frustrated. So just wanted to put that out there. If it's in the chat, then we can see the order of names of who's saying, I'd like to speak, I'd like to speak. So just wanted to say that.
There's going to be no way to maintain any kind of order. Everybody's just going to have to be patient. If you need to leave and come back, leave and come back. But the order of the screen pictures changes. So if somebody has a hand up, we know they still need to speak. We're going to try to get to the people overseas first because it's like 1 o'clock in the morning there.
Yes, Dawn, so that we all.
Okay.
All right. So I think I'm ready to go live. So right now I'm going to mute everyone and.
Yes. Okay. Get on that list. Follow the text list, guys. Now.
So there's that. And then I think we're open here. Let me just get back into this. Do you want to practice something first, Grant?
Nope, no.
Okay.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Okay. Okay. So I'm hitting go live, but I think it has to, so it might be any second now, but I'll. Oh. Yep, so that's it. We're live.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Grant Cameron, and this is a panel. It's June the 25th, 2021, and the report from the Pentagon on UFOs is now out. And I've lost my screen. How come I'm not?
Sorry. Do you want it right now? That's all everyone can see live is your screen, if that's what you want.
Okay, no, because I've got some slides to show here. Okay, so everybody can still see it. Okay, so this is a panel that we've set up for the government has given their side of disclosure today, and there's two entities that are doing disclosure. One is whoever on the government side or somebody inside the government or whatever's going on over there. And then you have the intelligence that is forcing disclosure as well. So what we have on tonight is a series of experiencers from around the world. We have people from Europe here, and I think we actually have some people from mainland China here tonight. And so this is for people who are interacting with the phenomena to describe what the message they're getting. So we're going to hear the other side of the story as to disclosure. Oh, shoot. So this is the Super Bowl of all stories. For people who don't know, this is not going to work very well. Shoot. This is the Super Bowl of all stories. Everybody here, as far as I'm concerned, is part of this big Super Bowl story that we have the inside track on who we're dealing with and what's going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show.
Okay, we're going to stop the share because it's not going to. My system is not producing the enough bandwidth to show the videos. So anyway, basically we have, I'm going to do my introductions and then we're going to turn this over. As I've always said, we need to turn over the world to the women before the men having their urinating contests blow the place up. So I've got three female assistants that are helping me tonight. Desta Barnaby is in charge. She's the one that makes this all happen in behind the scenes. And for people who are on the panel here, we've discussed this before for anybody who just came in. You need to raise your hand if you want to speak. We want to go first of all to the European. The second one we have a host is Sinead Wellahan, who is my assistant out of Toronto, and she has great self-will. She is an experiencer, and she actually had an encounter where they allowed her, gave her an offer to go on the flying saucer, and she actually turned them down and said maybe another time. So she is my assistant out of Toronto, and the other one that's going to co-host here is Nicole Sackage. And because we're in the Super Bowl, we need cheerleaders. Nicole is like a captain of a cheerleading team. I'm not sure whether she was with the Chicago Bears or the old St. Louis Rams, but she's a cheerleading leader. So I'm going to turn it over to Nicole and to Sinead to open it up. And whoever wants to talk first, I would prefer the European go because it's 1 o'clock in the morning in Europe. And we want to start there. But basically, it's to get you to tell your little bit of your story, who you're dealing with, and is there a message that the world should know here on this day when everything is starting to be disclosed and everybody's starting to realize actually something is going on here. We are dealing with somebody. I'm most interested in what the message is that's coming from the other side. So Nicole and Sinead, take over and save me from this.
I think Nicole might be chomping at the bit a little bit. So Nicole, take it away. I'll follow you.
All right. Well, I'd like to first off just thanks everybody for being here tonight. And I'll pre-thank you for your patience as we get through this massive, massive event. I am so floored by everybody that's popping up. So in lieu of keeping everybody's time short, I think I'll just jump right in and I will use my time here real quick, and then I'll pass it over to Sinead and maybe we can just kind of link everybody that way. But I will say in the last 25 years, the phenomenon to me has expressed itself in many ways, but I think the most impactful came with my last sighting last year. After years of nuts and bolts research, I got a direct message during a sighting. And that message was in a poem by Rod McEwen. And it was a message of oneness, that we're all God's children. We're all here in this together. It's a personal journey just as much as it is an outward search for answers. And Yeah. So when people talk about threats or this government disclosure, I say it's not with the government. That might give us some validation, but the true answers is going to come from people like us in the community, experiencers sharing their stories and telling their truths. And that's why I do what I do. So thank you, everybody. That was my thoughts on messages from the phenomenon and the intelligence. And now I'm going to kick it over to Sinead.
Thank you, Nicole. Well, you know that you and I have had received very similar messages, and there does seem to be a common theme, which I'm really looking forward to hearing more of tonight. Now that all these people are here, it's really, really wonderful to see everyone here. So again, like Nicole said, thank you so much for joining us for this very important occasion, because we don't need the government to tell us that there's disclosure, right? We know that it's happening. So that's one of the messages that I've received, is that it is about us really taking ownership of our power here on Earth, taking ownership, taking responsibility of the fact that we are all more powerful than we know or realize that we are, and that we can put a lot out there into the world. We need to really own that. We need to own our place. We need to own the fact that we have a relationship with the Earth. We have an intergalactic relationship. We have a deep relationship with the self. We need to, get better at coming together. We need to be much more aware of the barriers that we create between ourselves and others, between ourselves and nature, between ourselves and our intergalactic family, and to really focus more on the togetherness that we all share, the common goals that we all share of love, of kindness, of taking care of this planet that we are so lucky and fortunate to live on, and to really focus more on peace and taking care of each other and taking care of this world that we have, and nurturing those intergalactic relationships that can perhaps take us to another level that we have yet to get to, right, in our development as the human race. So for me, my experiences started when I was a very young child. I had a whole bunch of downloads between the age of 9 and 11, one of which was that each one of us is a universe. Each person is a whole universe, and that each one of us is also part of the universe, the one, the all. So I had a whole series of experiences through my life, did not know how to understand them or what to make of them at the time, never told anybody about them. And then in 2017, I had my first ET experience, and I was not involved in the ufology world at all. So that was my invitation, they told me. And then 2 years later, I got what I call the cosmic frying pan over the head. It was like, dong, okay, it's time to wake up now. And, we mean business, and we've been very patient and supportive for a very long time. And okay, bam, wake up, it's time. Let's go take ownership, take responsibility, own who you really are, own your true nature, come together with others who are also doing that, have these conversations, and really push the vibration up and nurture what we all want, which is the development of our nature, so that we can come to a new level of consciousness. That's what I really received. So I'm going to stop there and lob it over to the lovely Desta, who has been also patiently waiting to tell her story too. We just wanted to give you some examples of how you can tell your story. And we really encourage you all to be as honest as you feel comfortable with being. So thank you all so much for being here. Desta, please take it away.
Hello, everyone. I guess I'll say that I totally agree with Sinead, obviously, and Nicole, in that the messages that I've always received is basically the oneness message as well. I guess most of my messages that I've gotten, are based around channeling. I kind of started channeling in around 2015. Didn't really think that that's what was happening or what I was doing, but was getting messages. I didn't know if they were coming from my higher self or from, the field or from the aliens or from my, people that have passed away or whatever. So I was just receiving messages, writing them all down. But every single one of them, any actual message for humanity kind of thing, if I ever have gotten one, they all absolutely and only are about oneness. They all literally say oneness constantly, and it's about love and oneness. And exactly like Sinead was saying too, a lot of them are very focused on getting together in groups. It doesn't matter if it's 2 people or 5 people or 500 people, but the like the culmination of more than one consciousness at one time, thinking about the exact same thing with the same intention behind whatever you're trying to do, whether it's a C5, just a meditation on peace, or trying to connect with the beings in a channeling way, or whatever, even trying to get a download. All my messages have always been, that you should get together with people, because it's not all about you, and it's about coming together and working together and trying, and everyone has a different bit of the puzzle kind of thing, a different piece of the puzzle. And you can only get much more forward in your research or understanding of what the phenomena is, or what they're trying to do, or what the messages are, or whatever, if you join in and share information with other people, because everyone has a different perspective and are coming together from a different place. And so you kind of have to put all your puzzle pieces together to, figure out what they're actually trying to tell us, because this is about joining and oneness, and you can't have the oneness of humanity without actually sharing and getting together with other people and sharing your ideas and stuff. So the point of everything being oneness is getting together in groups, and that pushes the vibration up a lot. And with the increased vibration and multiple people having, being on the same level and trying with the same intention, trying to get the same, messages or information out, or getting the information in, like in a channeling way kind of thing. It's all about sharing, coming together and sharing and stuff. So I would say, yeah, love and oneness is the only thing that I've ever gotten. And it almost feels like boring in some way, because they will not stop saying it. It's been 6 or 7 years almost that I've been doing this now. And it's just like, every time I can feel the second before they're about to say the thing again, like join with other people and get together in groups and share information. And this is all about oneness. It's like, that's all, literally, that is the message, no matter what, for me anyways, what they always say. So that's my story.
I just want to jump in here. I shouldn't jump in here, but the one thing, I've known you for a number of years, I didn't find out until just a couple of months ago, is that you actually got some help in order to get in the field to do it, and that you had a sparkly gray help you. And I was just blown away when you said that. I just, what? I've known you for so many years, that you do get help in the field, that they do come to you and they do aid you and give you direction if you're going that direction. So thanks, Desta.
Thanks, Grant, and welcome everybody.
Well, I think that started to kick things off on the right kind of note here. I see some hands raised. So in keeping with the later time, I'll remind everybody, if you do want to speak and participate, please raise your hand. It's on the bottom of your screen under reactions. That's how we'll know that you do want to talk and not just listen. So I recognize a name from the UK. I'm going to just call out Jimmy Ando. I think you've been wanting to join one of our panels again for a while here and get on the experiencer side a little more than the government disclosure interview side. So take it away, Jimmy Ando from Project Unity. Welcome back. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, everyone. And full disclosure, my name's not actually Jimmy. That's just Jay is what I usually go by. It's just Jimmy on Facebook. I have multiple ways of saying it, but no, don't worry. So I'm relatively new, really, to the UFO subject. I've only been active in this for a few years. I resonate absolutely with what everyone has just been saying in relation to the phenomenon, because I came into this through studies in consciousness, and that led to what became initiations of contact, because my experiences were deliberate, in that they were the result of my attempts to initiate a form of contact via what most people would know as CE5. Something that myself and others, including James from Engaging the Phenomenon, are more inclined to categorize now as cognitive human interface, a term that we selected because of its inclusion in the official presentation slides from the ATIP program, and something that Luis Elizondo, the former director of that program, suggested during his interview with James as something that could be correlated with what people undertake when they're engaging in CE5. So, with CE5, essentially what we're talking about here is the capacity for human awareness to move beyond like the body-brain interface in a way that allows for some basic level of like energetic exchange between yourself and another intelligence. And so it would appear to me that all is required for the human point of view is a spark of intention, which can then be met by an intelligence that essentially, by virtue of their ability to manifest through your intentions, has obviously got an understanding of the abilities of consciousness that far exceed our own scope of the possible. But through this experience, you facilitate your own expansion in relation to the parameters of what can be achieved by the human mind and what is real. And that's certainly what happened to me. This truly woke me up to a new reality. When I had my own extremely vivid experiences with some aspect of this phenomenon. So I don't want to take up too much time. So I'll try and keep this relatively succinct with my experiences. I was going out and doing this type of kind of like CE5, just getting in, not even CE5 protocols, because I wasn't doing a strict set of protocols, but just kind of getting into a meditative state and coherently modeling my thoughts on the intention of contact. And then kind of using, I guess, like a form of visualization to imagine that those thoughts are actually permeating out into the universe. And so that's what I would do. I'd literally sit outside this back garden, in my back garden and just kind of look up at the stars and model my thoughts appropriately. And so my first major experience, because I had seen things in the sky beforehand, but my first major experience was at night on the 28th of August, 2019, roughly 10 p.m. And it took place in my back garden. What I saw was a cloud. Don't worry, it gets more interesting. Drifting across the sky in a direction that would go past my house, right? But this cloud was exhibiting like an anomalous shimmer, almost as if it was like statically charged. It was quite energetic. It was unlike any cloud I'd ever seen. So this cloud went past by my house. It was literally as it was about to get past my house, and I was standing outside in my garden observing it. It did a complete right angle turn towards my direction. So it suddenly started going from past my house to in alignment with me, essentially coming towards me. As this cloud reached directly above my head, it dissipated within less than 2 seconds. It just vanished, revealing what was hiding inside. And what was hiding inside was a triangular formation of roughly 25 to 30 orange orbs of light, which proceeded to travel past silently until this formation was on the horizon and eventually vanished. So it literally looked like a cloud, but there was a staticky charge around it. And as it literally was above my head, directly above my head, it just vanished. It just fizzled out. And there was this triangular structure of orange orbs. And that's the entire sighting from that point. It just went off into the horizon. And I remember the first person I phoned was my mum about 10:30 at night going, I can't believe what I've just seen. But the third time, because I've seen these orange orbs on 4 separate occasions. I've seen different things in the sky. But in terms of these orange orbs, which are very vivid experiences, I've seen them on 4 occasions. That first time I told you, but I'm only going to talk about the third time because it's one of the most profound and I don't want to take up too much time. So the third time I witnessed these orange orbs, I was once again in my garden, engaging in a coherent attempt to initiate contact via intention. And I noticed a streak of what I thought to be meteorites to begin with, until these orange balls literally stopped on a dime directly above my house. They were at a significant altitude, but they began to descend down. They were once again orange orbs of light, 3 of them. As they descended down, they were kind of bobbing and weaving in between each other, almost like fireflies. And they were like dancing around each other. And they reached the roof of my house and then instantly just froze in place. They were only a few feet above the roof of my house. They were roughly basketball sized, pastel orange color, slightly translucent. And they almost appeared to be 2-dimensional. The closest visual example I've got is a camera technique called bokeh. And that's probably the best visual representation of what they look like. But they were very clearly there. There was not a trick of the eyes. They loitered above my roof for a few seconds and then suddenly reanimated. They rose up and started bobbing and weaving around each other again. Then they shifted over to my neighbor's garden to my right-hand side. And once they were above my neighbor's garden, they once again froze. It was a very abrupt end to a very animated sequence of movements, just literally froze in place because they were bobbing and weaving. And then basically, once they were above my neighbor's garden, they just started bobbing and weaving back up into the sky until I couldn't see them anymore. And I was just standing there gawping with my eyes wide open, my mouth open. I couldn't think. I'd have loved to have been a galactic ambassador and reached out through love and unity. But in all honesty, my brain just couldn't really handle what I was seeing. But I don't want to take up too much time. Those were the two most vivid and profound events, and they catalyzed what I'm doing now, which is Project Unity.
Thanks so much, Jay. What would you say would be the main message you received from them?
In all honesty, I didn't receive what I would consider to be information, but the prerequisite to actually making that contact, the way in which that contact was achieved, was through peaceful meditation and practices of consciousness and the idea of oneness and the idea of unity. And they were the messages I was putting out. Is there anything out there that believes in these ideas, that has these thoughts, that is resonating at this type of level? If there is, let me know. And eventually it worked and things turned up. And so even though I didn't get a direct message, their presence was a message enough because it correlated with these ideas about consciousness. So it's the most profound part of it for me. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jay. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome.
Move on to another person who is far away from us in a late time zone. We want to be respectful of where people are. So Jared, are you there? He's got a black screen right now, but he also has his hand up. Jared Pratt, are you there at the moment?
Hi, Sinead. Can you hear me?
Wonderful.
Hello?
You take 5 minutes to tell your story. I'm going to be timing you, unfortunately, but please take
That's okay. Thank you very much, Sinead. Yeah, I'm Jared from the UK. My main modalities here are via astral projection and out-of-body experiences. And this is something that I've been involved with for quite some time. So I'm going to jump straight in. I mean, for me, it started when I was quite young. I had apocalyptic visions. I was about 6 years old. And this happened on a regular basis. And then when I was about 7, I seen a UFO, a metallic shaped disc over my house in Liverpool. And it was as vivid today as it was then. I observed the craft for about 15 seconds. And it remained with me for many years after that. Fast forwarding, when I was about 16 years of age, I joined the army and I had my first out-of-body experiences. Although I didn't quite know what was happening, it seemed to come naturally to me. Later on, when I was about 22, 23 years of age, I had a visitation in the evening from an angelic being. Now, this being took me from the bed in the night, and when the being touched me, I felt a universal oneness, like a oneness of love that I've never felt. And that was the first time I was visited. And after that, I started having more OBEs. I started becoming very good at having them. I started traveling on the astral plane, going to higher realms, meeting deceased relatives. And this carried on for a few years. Now, I got involved with a hooded being. This hooded being started getting involved, and I started seeing this being. And it started taking me on shamanic journeys. Now, this being, he took me to an inner earth location one time when I was out of body. He merged with my body and took me to an inner earth environment where I knew people at that location. On another occasion, he was present when I went on board the craft, and I interacted with the craft. And he was there to greet me and congratulate me after this craft experience. And on another occasion, he allowed me to view through his eyes. He allowed me to see inside his mind. He showed me my death. He showed me my transition from this life to the next life and how it all works out. So I've got, and recently he showed me his face as well. So while them interactions have been going on, I've also been receiving messages, clairaudient messages, and downloads of symbols. I have regular access to Akashic records with information. Any information that I want, I can receive directly from these Akashic records. I also receive warnings of danger. and I've witnessed energy forms throughout my home. As I think these experiences have transitioned to these other things, like seeing these beings in the home. This is something that goes part and parcel of that. But I have 3 other beings that I interact with, and they've told me that they're light beings. I interact with these beings during the sleep phases, and they give me lessons on telekinesis, on crystal energy lines, on telepathy and mediumship. They say that I come from an advanced race of beings and that I must hold the light and the frequency of higher realms and heal people's hearts. My role is to help others understand that they are part of a continuum of energy. They say I am spiritually qualified to do this work. They have recently made adjustments to my frontal temporal lobe to help me receive more complete messages, but they've told me this will take time. They say they realize how hard it is to be in a human body, but they want me to know that they love me and they want me to be with them. They are interested in our welfare and want to heal us and refine the human spiritual genome and DNA so it becomes more pure. The light beings help people on planets evolve. I understand this from an Earth perspective, but not from their perspective. So what I believe that we are containers and we're habited by eternal beings. I consider as part of our higher self, or part of this aspect remains outside of our linear time and space. In order to assist with development where possible, I believe we are all part of the source itself. ETs or interdimensional beings know this, and they will not hurt us because this would be severely damaging to their own soul development. Much more is gained for them by helping us. The problem is we are subconsciously conditioned from birth not to expand our consciousness or develop intuitively. You must realize the strength of your inner power. Lose the fear. The answers will be found inwards into your multidimensional self. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And
thank you.
I'm going to admit, I don't know who's from where out of the hands raised. So Sinead and I decided we're going to start playing whack-a-mole. So I'm just going to call on the Cosmic Librarian. She's first in my square. Welcome to our Experiencer Report. And thank you for being here. You'll have to hit unmute on the bottom of the screen. There we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
This is going to be quick. I've been having experiences my whole life, and I started studying UFOs in 1967 when I was still a little kid. So this is not new for me, but I mean, I've had many experiences. I've had several with these other beings. I've never really seen them. They were there. I won't go into all the detail, but all you need to know that I think is important is the last time I had an experience of this kind was about 3 years ago. It was a very simple experience. It was very early in the morning, and I went out to my driveway to pick up my morning newspaper. And it was still real dark outside, and I happened to look up at the sky, and it was a breathtakingly beautiful early morning sky. You could see Orion in the sky, and I just felt really good. And I was thinking to myself how grateful I was to have that day. And when I looked up, I looked at Orion, and in the body, in the torso of Orion, if you will, was a perfectly round white light that bounced around within the middle of his body, and then it stopped. And I was just blown away. And it was a wonderful feeling. It was a beautiful feeling. It was about being grateful and appreciative, and it was about kindness as well. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because it told me everything I needed to know. Thank you.
Beautiful. I see my hosts have disappeared. I see we have Vienna here. Do they want to speak? Agnes?
Hello.
Yes. Vienna, Austria. Thank you for staying up so late at night to join us.
Well, I have a friend in Israel, so it's almost 1 hour later. So yeah, he's the brave one. Yes, I didn't have. Well, I had a sighting, but I can't recall really experiences on myself, but I'm gathering information and staying in contact with people, and try to keep in contact with people from all over the world, because it's, as you know, and you do research for so long, it's not an America and a USA, Canada phenomenon. It's so much more, and it's diverse, and I'm onto it. So it's like, I like the name Cosmic Librarian, because I'm kind of doing work in that area. Like, I call it a metaphysical space, like an archive. Yeah, but I did a regression last year, and kind of my cosmic family told me, we are not keeping direct contact with you because it would be too much for you for now. So I'm spreading the work basically, and gathering information, because if you want to do research, you have to have the material for it. So that's kind of my job, I think I can do in this life. And I'm following you very closely. So thank you for your work, Grant, and
Thank
all
you.
of you.
And you mentioned Israel. I just noticed, I just looked on the thing. Yossi Ronan is here from Israel, and Desta and I helped him publish his book. So Yossi, you want to jump in here? And you have an incredible contact story, and you got probably the key message that I think is the message. So you want to jump in here?
Yes, you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello, everyone. Well, my message is I had a face-to-face real physical contact with a couple of visitors in the year of '81 in Los Angeles, when I was there for a year. And the real main message is the same, like most of us, is that oneness. And I really wanted to understand what they mean, or what I understand by this oneness. And all what they done with me in this all 40 years is trying to explain me what they want from me or from us to understand. And the way they did that, the way they try to explain me, is by experiencing the connection with them. And what they done is first of all, they concentrate me in my consciousness. All the connection was by the consciousness itself. And you can say teachings was about the consciousness. And the way they did that is that they contact me with our two main phases of consciousness. At the beginning, they contact me when I was sleeping and I was out of my body. And they made a connection like that, and the connection had a very peaceful, relaxing and joyful and very easy contact with them. The communication was very floating and very easy. And then a minute after that, I woke up and I saw them when I was sitting on the bed, with my eyes opened and contact them with my body. Now the difference was that when I was out of my body, the contact was without the body. And that was the way they tried to let me understand the differences that gave us all the problem to understand this phenomenon. Now, when I could connect them with my body, it was totally different. I started to be afraid, and all of my reaction was very physical, and I realized that the body is giving the limitness and the fear without the connection to the real thing that is going on. And the thing is that oneness that I talk about is the oneness between all of us, between us human and them, is already exist. The nature of all the reality is the oneness, and all we have to do with our consciousness and is when we are awake with our body, with our brain, is to try to have the ability to connect to this oneness with our awake consciousness, like now when we are talking.
Thank you so much, Quincy. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, we have to move on to the next person.
Okay.
There's always more to hear because these stories are so wonderful, but
Yeah, okay.
we're just trying to be good about the 5-minute mark. So I'm sorry to cut you off there, but thank you so much for sharing what you just said with all of us.
Okay.
The next person, Stephanie, you had your hand up early. Would you like to take a turn?
Sure. Can you hear me? All right. My name is Stephanie Maskengale, and I channel Aria with the Arcturian Protectorate. And I had a coma when I was 14 years old, so there's a pathway that she's able to come over for channeling, and I've been doing that now for about 15 years. And I met Grant back in Vegas about 3 or 4 years ago, and can I just bring Aria in and let her share the message, or do you just want me to share my aspect of it?
Absolutely.
All right, I intend Aria. This is Aria of the Arcturian Protectorate. Well, hello there, everyone. I'm so glad to see everyone on the call. And we are making lovely progress in what I like to refer to as the evolution of consciousness. And oneness is a great way to put that. In my culture, we call that all that is. Oneness, all that is, right? And so with the more and more of acknowledging and seeing physical spaceships and that sort of thing, you've got to have people's evolution of consciousness high enough, at a high enough rate of vibration, they can actually see it. If only 10% of your population can see it, good luck with that, right? But as we all connect and as we all begin to raise our consciousness together, then you get more of, a better response and a better result. So it's lovely to see everyone having their own way, whether that's through dream state or an actual physicality, or if they're doing channeling in whatever way is best for their spirit, their soul's progress. It's lovely to see that. Now we are in a part of the universe, next little bit here, next year or so, where there's tremendous light coming into the planet that's really going to help everyone's abilities be even more interesting and more connected and together. So I guess that's enough for now. I don't have to get into it too much, but I hope it's helpful so you get to see what channeling looks like if you haven't seen it up close in person. And so I am Aria of the Arcturian Protectorate. What the Arcturian Protectorate is we are a group of beings that fall under the auspices of Ashtar Command. A lot of you have heard of that. So that we are here to help with the evolution of consciousness to make sure that all of you are allowed to do that in your own way so that it does not interfere with your free will. So with that, as always, remember to love yourself. This is Aria, and I'm moving over. Reunion 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's Aria. How was that?
Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Yes. And
right.
I'm going to keep it moving along. I know Debs has to leave us pretty soon. Deb, would you please take the mic and welcome?
Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate being included on this panel, and I'm just very honored. Super quickly, I'm a lifelong experiencer from earliest memories. of extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, everything you can think of, orbs, spirits, everything, and came in with all of my abilities turned on. And so I have spent most of my life doing healing work, channeling work, and once things were a little less quiet about, people were not so scared to talk about such things, I was able to begin doing contact work. I've been a quantum hypnotherapist. Well, started out in clinical psych, started out with clinical hypnotherapy, and then went into quantum hypnotherapy. It's been about 40 years, 4 decades. And what's happened is the beings, the phenomenon, if that's what you want to call it, consciousness, which is where I'm coming from, kept funneling down what I'm supposed to work with. So no matter what people come to me for, it always seems to come back around to this in the sessions, even if, and especially if they are not interested or have never had what they thought were experiences, it always comes out. And the message, whether I'm channeling the group entity, is the main group that I channel is called the Star Teachers. Whether I'm channeling the teachers, or I'm facilitating a quantum hypnosis session, or I'm doing healing work, the message is always the same. And it's the same message that all of you have been giving, which is the oneness piece, the unity consciousness piece. But to be more specific, what they say is there is no us and them, not in human life, not in cosmic life, not in universal life. There is only one mind in the universe, as a famous psychologist once said, famous scientist, and that is you. And all the permutations of you are the facets, the holographic fractal facets that you see before you in all these little screens, all the people around you. And now as we are engaging with the phenomenon, especially when the teachers come through or my clients come through with different life realities in their sessions, the message is always the same. We are you, only just existing in different frequencies, and you're able to link into the different frequencies of yourself with whatever vibrational oscillation you are at the moment. So, if you're in a really happy, loving, joyful, grateful place, those are the types of beings that you're going to interact with if you have the intention that you want to interact with them. And sometimes they just filter through because you're like magnets. You see each other as the mirror. So the big message they have as far as the disclosure that we're talking about now is, yes, some people see craft, and I have been on them many times. I went to the school when I was a little kid, on a craft. And I have traveled in many different things. But if you are wanting to see craft, physical phenomenon, that's probably the experience you're going to have within that context. If you are in a fear place, you're probably going to see the Hollywood version of what you think extraterrestrials are or other beings are. And if you are in fear of what's going to happen in our world, for instance, what's happening now with all the chaos and the sickness and the greed and everything, if you keep focusing on that, that's where your vibration is. That's what's going to be reflected back to you. It's all you. So their big message is, remember that oneness is nothing more than you looking at yourself and loving yourself and all the permutations of yourself, the facets of yourself. And when you do that, your vibration raises higher, 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 and you're able to reach up and literally make connection with the higher versions of yourself and have a better and better experience. And that's really what I believe all of us in this community are striving for, is to help people know that there is way more to life than the day-to-day drudgery of third dimensional earth life as we're experiencing it now. So the big message is be happy, be grateful, be loving, be kind, be humble, and share with selfless service to others because you're really serving yourself in the best way. And that's all I have to say for now. Thank you for including me, Grant and Sinead and Desta and Nicole and everybody in Lakesh.
Thank you so much, Debs. Beautiful as always. And it's Enrique here. Enrique, you wanted to say something. If Enrique is here right now, can you make yourself known?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect.
Hello.
Please
Hello,
take
everybody.
5 minutes, Enrique, to share your experience and the main message that you've received from your experiences as well.
Yes, perfect. Well, I participate of experience of contact in Lima, Peru. This is experience of a group of people. We live this as a community. It happens in the 70s that a family, Sixto Paz Wells and his brother, Charlie, and his sister, they started to have this mental telepathic communication. Through them, a group of friends and then local people started to meet around Sixto and Charlie, who were receiving the telepathic messages. Eventually, they went to Chilca Desert, south of the capital Lima, where they could verify that the contact was real. They saw the appearance of a ship, and then from there, the group was known internationally as Rama Group. The Rama Group is working since the 70s, 1974 they started, and to this day, we are still practicing or experiencing the contact at different levels. It's not just the sightings or just the projection in a different kind of manifestation or body, but it's also the physical encounter at some point and even the mental exchange with them. So this contact has been witnessed by many journalists around the globe. The places where we used to meet in groups was also signaled by the Air Force and the Marines in my country. They find out in front of the coast of Chilca, the desert, there is some kind of edification with pyramids underwater, and it's just in front of the location where we used to do our practices. Also in front of Ancon, the coast of Lima. Also under the waters of Lake Titicaca, where there is another Rama Group functioning, not just in Peru, but also in La Paz. My friend Luis Fernando Mostajo, in parallel with the experience of the Brothers Paz, Luis Fernando started to receive information that was very similar from the same beings, and he started the Rama experience in La Paz, Bolivia, also in the 70s. So years later, they meet, they exchange information, and from there, the Rama Group grew up around the world. And some of us have traveled, and for me, it was coming to the United States, and I'm having my regular life as a therapist, but from time to time, I go to the mountains and I experience the contact with a group. This is experience that I like to share with the people, to experience with the people. It's not something that you take to your personal account. It's something that you have to experience with the community in order to open ourselves as humankind, as one, to the possibility of exchanging with a different kind of intelligence. So yearly I travel with groups, and I used to do it with people in the Hispanic community, but then through some interviews I had with Grant and others that investigate the phenomenon, many people from the C5 community contacted me. So now I'm going out the last 4 or 5 years with the C5 groups around the United States mostly, and some come from UK, and we had experiences together. And in my personal case, I had experiences at many different levels. Physical encounters, only 3 times that I can recall perfectly, and other time where I was completely erased in my memory. just before I came to United States. I guess it was because I was not supposed to remember whatever they told me at the time, probably so I can handle living here for so many years. And not that it was bad, but the thing is, you are gonna go through many different challenges. And if you knew it in advance, probably you would step back. So I guess I was communicated what I was supposed to do in the United States, and then I'm living my life apparently free and taking people to be witness of this experience too. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Desta, Grant, and Jeanette, and everybody else. Thank you.
Just a quick question. Do you have your event? You have the event at Mount Shasta. Do you have your event this August at Mount Shasta?
Yes, but this year, last year it was crazy. We had an experience that we didn't expect at all. You know, the mostly experiences with aliens or extraterrestrial, but last year we had an experience with Archangel Michael. I never expect that. I was not trying to open to that experience. It was what they call the Lion's Portal. We were at noon on the Saturday, and then the beam came down and many people felt it. And now it's like the experience of contact make a turn into this new realm of hierarchies of spiritual beings that are visiting us. And I just open to whatever comes. And now this year, Luis Fernando Mostajo is coming. And I realized that I was not the only Rama having the experience with Michael. Luis Fernando also had it in Europe, and he did a whole trip around many countries, activating the energy of Michael in many different places. And now he's coming to California just after our experience. So I'm telling Luis Fernando, you know what, this year you are gonna guide the whole group. I'm gonna give you the whole group, so you guide it and I'll do the translation. So this is what is gonna happen this August, and Luis Fernando is gonna be in charge of it.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm gonna slide in and call on Nancy Tremaine. I know Nancy's out there. She's been waiting patiently, and I'd really like it if she could take the mic. Nancy, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you all so very much. Yeah, this all began for me in 1961, and it's continued till today. But my first encounter was, I was 12 years old with my girlfriend Cindy, and I didn't realize that I had been aboard for 50 years. I knew what I'd seen, and there were several witnesses, but I was left with such a longing, an intense longing to be with them. I would chant, "Please come back and get me." And I had no idea who I was asking to come back and get me. So they must have left me with this intense longing. And I see this as, this enlightenment is an inner awareness or an awakening, an expanding, and we're understanding our life's purpose. Just like before animals became pets, we had to slowly assimilate them into our lives. And I think this is what they're doing to humanity. And just like so many of you have mentioned, and Desta, it's all about the love. I had 5 regressions in a real short period of time. And the things that stuck out to me in those regressions were, I said, I want to be with them forever. And I said, and this was the one that really got me, they love me. They are me. And then I started receiving messages. After the 3rd regression is when it kicked in and all the high strangeness really began. And I was told, you ask who we are, you have only to look in the mirror. We are you. And I'll just leave it with this. We are made for love, as if our DNA contains this message. We must love and be loved to survive. And
beautiful. And just to let people know, we're making some headway. You are actually going to be the focus of a Hollywood musical, your story. So you're a single mother. You've had a lot of backlash from your story. You held your ground. You've written 2 books. You were actually before Betty and Barney Hill, so you are the first. And I congratulate you on standing your ground, and it'll pay off. You've got a wonderful message for the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Grant. Yeah, I believe Doug Auld is on here. I thought I saw him on here.
We're going to go. Yeah, we have somebody who's about to leave, but we'll get to Doug here. Thank you, Nancy. It was a fascinating story, and you've got your 2 books. Hopefully people look you up, Nancy Tremaine, on Amazon, and you can get an incredible story that you researched yourself. You dug in like Nancy Drew, and you forced everybody to talk and go into regression. And so thank you for your story.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy, as well. We always love
Thank you,
hearing from
Sinead.
you.
Yes.
Good to see you. So Ileana was just saying in the chat that she needs to run soon. So Ileana, I'd like to invite you to share your story for us. You've got 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ileana. So I'm a psychic and I've been an experiencer for the last 15 years. And I've met the L race, who are a 12th dimensional, a race of beings. So they embody female, male essences, so both. And they taught me that it's important to be able to heal the body and to help to heal others, and the message that we are one as well, and that our planet is beautiful, and that this planet is going through a lot of evolution, and that we're all here as experiencers to help save the planet and to help save each other. And we're service to others and not service to self. So that's the message that they gave me, is that to help others to heal, we must go within ourselves to know who we are as beings, that we are all manifestor beings, and that we all have the ability to create beautiful timelines and to help each other to grow and evolve. And I'd often see their craft, the L race, EL, I'd see their craft like silver light craft over my house, and I took several pictures of that. So, and the ships also always appear as light ships. So I've been on their ships, and it's not made out of metal, it's made of biological materials. So when you're on their ships, you feel so alive. You feel part of that energy, of that experience of visiting them, learning from them, learning to heal, learning psychic abilities so you could telepathically communicate with other experiencers and extraterrestrials. So through them, you learn your own evolution, your own abilities and powers, and that it's important to just to love yourself, to love others, and that all beings who communicate with us come from love and the highest, most beautiful vibration of peace, love, and unity. To us and to each other. So we are supposed to, as experiencers, bring unity and work together to make this a better world, and to continue to evolve and thrive and live beautiful, healthy lives. And I've had hypnosis session where it was described to me what the L race are, that they're here as negotiators. They help to make peace, to create peace, and that they remove negativity. So they're protectors of Earth, protectors of our future and our timelines. So that's the message they bring to us, that love is important, and it's important to be one and to love each other and to care for each other and this planet, the animals, the plants, because we are all living beings and we're such beautiful people. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much. Yep. We're starting to see patterns, I think, in these messages, folks. So next up, I'd like to welcome Michael Quincy from Dark Hour Paranormal. I might call you out a little bit, Michael. I'm hoping to maybe hear a message from Atlantis with you speaking. So take it away and share us your message.
Oh, that's great. You know, you're hilarious in so many great ways. You know, Atlantis itself was obviously a very different time, and there were many extenuating timelines coming off of that. But long story short, there was extraterrestrial involvement. In fact, from my understanding, Atlantis was sort of a hub where different beings would come in because they had certain healing technology and intuitive approaches to this that could only be found in this particular location. Again, this is what I've heard. Now, while I'm not a direct experiencer in some of the ways that other panel members are expressing, I have seen two different craft. I've seen the Bob Lazar classic model. That was my first sighting. And the second one was reminiscent of a TR-3B. In both instances, I had the overwhelming feeling not to look away. And yet there was a logical sense of me that said, I need to walk into the next room and grab a video camera. Again, in both instances, I did just that with the quickness that I should have. And immediately as I turned around, it was absolutely gone. Now, the idea here, and I've heard this many times between abductees and even some of the more common folk alike, that if you experience one of these crafts, if you are privy to witness this, then there's a very good chance that you are being abducted or have been taken at some point. Now, the overall message that people are talking about here, that we are part of this oneness, you have to remember that we are all of the same energy. Therefore, there is a connection no matter how you want to look at it, whether it's vibrational or otherwise. What we're going through right here is a very natural process wherein we're now remembering this higher part of ourselves. And yes, that's exactly what they are. They're another sliver of our higher selves, or perhaps a lower vibrational self, depending on how you want to look at it. In the end, the whole point is to have personal disclosure. It comes from within. And this is, of course, being mirrored in many of the experiences that people are expressing once again, but you can't look outside yourself. And yet there's this physical component which sits deeply in duality. And it's to be observed and not necessarily utilized the way that we have in the past, considering that we have now transcended into the fourth dimension. It's overlaid on the physical plane. It's not somewhere that we went to physically, but we can actually attain and reach out. It's something tangible that very special in this place and time that we have access to. So again, just to kind of reiterate what people have been saying, it's the understanding that we are all one, and that what we do here, even the thoughts that you have, actually affect them on certain levels, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. To remember that where they are is where we're moving evolutionary wise, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, you name it, we're all going in that same direction, and that they actually sit between both worlds, if you want to simplify it, wherein they have a physical component and they have a metaphysical component, and they're able to dodge between the two, not just being one or the other, where we believe, we're anchored in the thought that we are only physical on most levels. We're just sort of discovering the other etherical side, and we're not necessarily without body. So again, they sit in between. It's about the oneness. And of course, I loved what she had said. I'm sorry, the woman who had just spoken about knowing yourself, loving yourself, that's reflected and resonated out to these beings, who will then in turn reflect the same way that the universe does to you.
Thank you so much. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. These are really wonderful shares so far. So thank you. Thank you, everybody, again, for being here and for being willing to do this. It really is a very valuable thing, because this is disclosure, right? It's already here. We all know that. We're doing it right now. We do not need the government to tell us what's going on. There are people all over the world who know what's going on. So that is what we are doing right now. That is the whole purpose of this evening. And it's just wonderful to hear all your stories. So thank you so much. I would like to invite Alan Seinfeld, if he's willing and able to share right now. Alan, it's always great to see you, and please take it.
Alan.
Hey, great to see everyone. This is an all-star cast. Thank you for putting this together, because I can talk about my experiences, but what I want to talk about is really the excitement I feel now, actually in my body, in the cells, that we are about to enter a new phase of history, and everything everyone's experienced before this has been a prelude to this birth. I think we are in the birth canal. We're not born yet, but there's a sense, and I don't know if it's just the people I talk to, but there's a crispness in the air and the frequency, and that's contact. We're about to make contact with some other realm. So everything's been a prelude to this historic moment that maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's next year, but we are well on our way to being welcomed into the rest of the cosmos as we welcome them into us. We are not a freak of nature. Life is not an anomaly. Intelligence is a part, like we're all saying, oneness, but oneness just got bigger. oneness just multiplied. It's 1 times 1 still equals 1, but you know, it's just got enlarged. So that's what I'm feeling. And we can take the past with us, or we can forget the past and move into some unknown reality, eyes wide open, vibration turned on, and see what's coming as we push this moment to a kind of transformational point, a breaking point in consciousness where we, Grant's right, we are the leaders, and we can't depend on the government. We are the leaders that are going to tell the rest of the world what's happening as soon as we figure out what's happening, because it's bigger than all of us. And as Grant said, well, you know, they may not be aliens, but yes, there's something bigger that we're a part of. And I'm really excited about all of us discovering it on the cutting edge, and then the rest of the world, if they care to hear what we have to say, let's just push this baby out. Okay, we're about to be born.
Beautifully put, Alan. I love
Alan.
Great turn of phrase. That might be my quotable quote of the night. Push this baby out.
Right. Well, you're a mother, yes.
Right. So much changed by becoming a mother. I can understand that. But I'd like to welcome, and I might butcher this name a little bit, but Paul and Mikey. Yes, please. You guys have been waiting patiently, and I love duos, so welcome.
Great. Thank you. Shall I go first? Yeah, it's actually Mika. Yeah. Mika. So I will start. Sure. Okay. So it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You hear it's okay? Sound okay. So I'm a lifelong experiencer, and I have had abduction experiences, and benevolent and less pleasant ones. I've recall of flying my own spacecraft, and we were divinely guided to come together through a lot of synchronicities. And the big thing that ultimately got me to get here from Europe, and born in Belgium, was a oneness experience that I had with Paul. I was one with Paul, with the music in the car, with the Columbia River in Oregon. I was completely at peace and connected to all that is. So that was one thing. So then another, when we moved to Maui, we lived on Maui, there I got a message, a voice that came to me that said, it was like the most masculine voice that I have ever heard, very, very solid, that told me, go home, just 2 words, go home. And I understand that to be now, it's go home into who we are. It's to go home into the connection with all that is. It's to go home to the truth and the freedom of our existence. And then the third thing I want to share, I had a vision in 1999 that was on our wedding night, and beings came to me, and I was in the vision, and I was seeing earth changes, and I got the message then while I was going through it that my task was to tell people not to go into fear. So that was my task, to tell people, okay, there's changes coming, don't go in fear. Part of it was the vision was the water was coming into England, and the coastlines would go under. And my task was to tell people, okay, this is what's happening, not to worry, not to fear, just move. If this happens, move inland, and just move a little bit more inland. And there was three ways people responded. One kind told me, like, oh, you're one of those nuts, talking about doomsday. The other kind of people was saying, thank you so much. This is exactly what we needed to hear. Thank you. And there was a third kind who believed what I said, but they had no way they were able to let go of everything they had built up in their life. So I came out of this vision knowing what I had to do, tell people to get out of fear, not to go into fear. And those beings said, wait, come back. We want to give you a date. So that was in 1999 that I got this, and they showed me the date visually and on all levels of my perception, and they said 2008, which shocked me because 2012 was programmed in my consciousness that something would happen. 2008, I've never thought about that time, that date in 1999. So I carried that forward, trying to figure out what's going to happen. Now I know that, first of all, because our consciousness of humanity has changed, that time frame that I saw, if we would have not changed in 1999, that would probably what would have happened in 2008. But because we all changing, that timeline completely changed. So the whole message was, don't go in fear, and there's many changes that are happening. And yeah, that's about the main messages that I got. Oh, one more thing. The message I get right now is that we are raising our frequency, and the most important thing is for me personally to make sure that I raise also my body. So I have to take care of my body in levels that I haven't done before. So to be able to get to the next level, I have to really purify myself together with my mental, emotional field to really ascend in a way higher than I have done so far. So that's it.
Okay, so if I can, I will share some of my experiences. And one of the things, Mika and I didn't know that we'd each had contact experiences until after we were married. It isn't something you tell somebody on a date, you know, like, hey, I've had contact with ETs. But I had, and my very first contact, and the message was, we are here. But I saw a light go across in the dark, or in the twilight, go across a ridge up in the Mount Hood area. And then it took a 90-degree turn and shot off at light speed, I would say. And that was something that I knew was not, we didn't have that technology at that time. That was in probably 1967, 68 timeframe. Then the next thing that was of great importance was in 1979, 79, 80, I was a practicing dentist, and one day had an incredibly bad headache, and lay down in my chair, closed my office, closed the doors, locked everything up, lay down in my dental chair. And the next thing I know, there were two beings in my office that was completely locked and there was no way in. Two beings were in my office behind me, and they said, we noticed you have a headache. Well, I'd had a horrible headache. So I said, yes, I do, because I'd asked them why they were there. And then they said, well, they pulled out a device that was about this long. I don't know if you can see that. 16, 18 inches long and an inch, maybe inch and a half in diameter. And they waved that from behind me over my head and said, well, the reason you have a headache is because you have a brain tumor. And at that time I was young practice. I thought that's a horrible, horrible thing to hear. And they said, not to worry. They did something to this device. They put it back over my head a few times. The headache went away. And they said, there, it's gone. Well, I was very excited about that. And I said, that's incredible. Where can I get one of those? And they said, we will send you one. So that was, again, 1979. I've been waiting all this time, but what I understand is they were saying, we will send you medical or technology that will help humanity heal in all kinds of ways. And it's done not through intrusiveness, but through, looks like frequency. So both diagnostic and treatment that's in a frequency range. So that was the one. And so that we have technology, I do believe now on the planet, that will definitely help with the healing our physical bodies, mental bodies, our consciousness. The third thing that I was told, and this was in 2017 when we were in Crestone, and we'd gone to an event where we were trying to bring in, it's like a CE5 event.
With Ricardo Gonzalez.
With Ricardo Gonzalez. And when we got done with that, we were all leaving, and I left, and I said, all right, if there's something that we need to do here to help with this connection, because it was obviously we were having a little bit of trouble with our connection. I said, what is it that we can do to help this whole process along? And they said, and now this is going to sound weird and it's not very politically correct, but they said, get rid of your banksters. Take your banksters down and things will be much better for you. That's the messages. Those are the three messages I have. We're here. We help you with your health and get rid of your banksters. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. You have often come to these events, and I know you're often very patient and don't sometimes get the chance to speak. So we wanted to make sure you had the chance to speak tonight. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
What
And
is a bankster?
Estrella, you were wanting to share as well. Would you like to share at the moment, Kevin Estrella?
Yes, can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, you're coming through.
Okay, great. I'm here and Jeff Demers is here as well. And we are speaking on behalf of the Ponte. To understand who the Ponte are, I met them 5 years ago, and they are Zetas from Zeta Reticuli 2 on the planet Pontel, and they are in a base underneath the Albuquerque Mountains. And they have a telepath named Sue Walker who's been working with them. And I've been working with Sue Walker and the Ponte for 5 years, and Jeff has been working just about as long as well. And when Tilcom behind me, he's the commander of the Zetas at that base. When he first talked to Sue, he made it very clear that the reason why that they were here on Earth is because they were here to prepare us for official first contact. And I have known for 4 years now that they said that official first contact is at the end of the 1971 Desert Accord Treaty that was signed 50 years ago by certain military and governments and certain ET groups. And the expiration date is August of 2021. So when I heard Trump's announcement, back in December, that the militaries had 180 days to disclose what they knew, that was quite an incredible synchronicity. But for me, at the same time, it was no surprise. 2 months before this expiration date. So we have known about this for a long time. Official first contact, there are 32 star nations who are involved in official first contact, and many of them already have arrived here on Earth. And Jeff Demers, who, he actually had Tilcom show up at his place back in March, I believe it was, in physical form, sitting at the end of his bed, dressed in his formal attire, to announce to let Jeff know that official first contact, that they were notified by the Federation that it has been confirmed it is happening this year. So it's been very quiet this year in regards to trying to get any more information about it. All I know was there was a tweet that was sent out about a month ago from one of the Zetas that Tilcom has been behind closed doors with many of the pilots, and it's been telepathically silent, but the only thing they've been able to do is read their faces when the doors are opening, and there's big grins on their faces. So obviously something big is happening. But I just wanted to let people know that this, I've known about official first contact for 5 years. So
Oh, I think we just lost your audio.
It looks like he might have disappeared.
Might have dropped. Ooh, that's our first technological mishap by the phenomenon. So we'll just jump right in and keep on moving. I'm so sorry that got cut off, but I know we have a few others that need to leave soon. So I'm going to go ahead and call on Terry Lovelace. Terry, if you could take the mic. I know you got to squeeze out of here, but we'd love to hear your message or messages. Is Terry still around?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Hi, Terry.
Hi. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much. Thank you, Grant. It's a privilege to be here. I'll be brief. I've had contact with non-human entities since the age of about 4. When I was a young child, the entity that came to visit me appeared in the form of like a small Asian woman with a big bulbous head, and I knew her back then as Sue, and she's been in and out of my life for a lifetime. I renamed her Betty when she appeared to me in 2017 with a bad wig. But we have been in contact, and I've had contact with her as late as 2020. What I really wanted to talk about was this unity and oneness because I think I have a good message in regard to that. And that is that in the back of my book, I asked people, if you had an experience of some kind you'd like to share it, please write to me. I promise I'll get back to you. And I've had almost 1,700 now people send me emails and tell me stories. But it's not just been ET stories. I've had people from the near-death NDE community, Bigfoot, ghost, paranormal, everything you can think of that could be lumped under this paranormal, which I hate the word, but all variety of stuff. And what occurred to me was almost like an epiphany, is that, you know, there's a thread of commonality that runs through all of this stuff. There really is. And, you know, I've never had a Bigfoot experience in my life. But Bigfoot people write to me and I talk to them, and there really are a lot of similarities between our encounters. You know, and the NDE community talked to me about, you know, commonalities in our encounters, where they had that, you know, feeling of that dissociative feeling where they felt kind of detached. Well, obviously, and I had that feeling in 1977 when I had my major abduction and was taken from a campsite. But that's the message I wanted to leave with everyone, is that this unity and oneness, we really are, and we are hopefully headed in the right direction. Like Alan said, about to give birth. And that's all I have. And thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you. That was terrific. And it's always entertaining to hear from you as well. So we really appreciate you being here. So next, I'd like to call on the very patient John Martin. He's one of the first people who had his hand up. We just had some people who had to leave early or were in Europe. So John, thanks so much for your patience, and please take it away. You've got 5 minutes.
Thank you, Sinead. I'm a classically trained guitarist, and I've performed for many people around the world, including President Carter. We had dinner in Toledo, Spain, and he discussed UFOs, and that was the impetus for me to try to connect music and projecting to the universe. And it was an incredible experience. I went on my deck and began playing, and these crafts started coming in. I had a purple dome-shaped craft with a pink ring that came over my house. I had 4 craft that were spinning in line, and then I had a beautiful cross and crescent-shaped metallic craft. Both came over, and they were the size of office buildings, and they have just been positive and loving and incredible. I go out every night, and I probably have hundreds and hundreds of individual videos of craft that come in, and they'll do aerobatics for me. They'll fly in formation, and they do absolutely incredible things for us. And one day in meditation, the word peace to all was coming to me, and it just came over and over. And that was the message they were trying to send to me, was peace to all. And I will end by taking my video off, and I'll show you a beautiful cloud shape that they gave to me. And that was the gift that the cross and the crescent gave to me. And it's just been an incredible experience, man. And I thank you for your time.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was a good surprise there at the end. I love visuals, but I'm just going to give a quick reminder to anybody who doesn't have their hand raised. If you would like to speak, we're closing in, I think, on our final half an hour here. To raise your hand, go to the reaction button on the bottom of your screen, and it's a big button to push. So if you want to speak, raise your hand. And I'm going to give it over to Melinda Leslie right now. Thank you. Thank you. Don't forget to unmute yourself, and you have 5 minutes. Thank you, Melinda.
Oh yeah, unmute. Hi, everyone. Okay, I have a lot to say in a short period of time, so I'm going to try to do this at 80 miles a minute. I'm going to channel my inner Grant. All right.
Good one.
Yeah. Okay. First off, this is a very important group that we're doing here today. There's a lot of us on here. These are well-known contactees, abductees, experiencers, et cetera, all of them. We're representing the millions of people out there who have had direct contact experience and needed a voice at this time of disclosure. So everyone on here, thank you, because you all represent millions of people each. And this will go out. I hope we're live right now. Certainly the recording later. We're answering people's prayers by us doing this right now. So I want to thank everyone for that, and thank you for including me in it. I am a lifelong experiencer, abductee, contactee my whole life. I've known it for about 32 years now. I have sightings every day. I won't go into my thing. People hate it when I plug my deal, but I have a sighting tour here in Sedona. It's no little thing. We have physical craft we see every tour. We make contact. We have interaction. We call them in, they come, we have sightings every day that I do a tour, which is almost every day. I have contact every day. I get constant downloads and etc. As we know, the DNI report is now out. Hopefully most of you know that. If you haven't seen it, it's online. Grant, just give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Have you read it yet? Grant,
I have not. I have not read it. No.
Okay. I only had a cursory glance because I just had downloaded it right prior to being on here. And I will say this, it's only 9 pages long. And a lot of people are starting to say in the community, it's a nothing burger. I want to say that during this call, Lorian Fenton, well-known contactee, there it is, thank you. Thank you, that was perfect, holding it up for anyone to see, there we go. It's still very significant. Do not underestimate the significance of this. Lorian Fenton, well-known contactee, conference producer, texted me just while I was on with you guys today. And I texted back to her, and then I realized what I was texting back was half logical and half a download from spirit. And I'm going to share that. So Lorian said, am I missing something? All I can find is a 9-page document. Then I replied, that's it for the public one, but it has exactly what Jim Sammy Van told me it would have in it. It's about the task force needing a bigger investigation, needing more time, and needing money, which Jim said this is the beginning of these guys getting money and a giant investigation. It will lead to congressional hearings, as you're hearing Steve Bassett say. I don't agree with Bassett that they're going to be this summer, but I think they could be next year. This is the beginning of this process. And then Lorianne replied, yeah, but we all knew that. And I says, as Jim says, this is the beginning, much more to come. There'll be much more to come. Like Jim said, this will be the official kickoff of a process. When you read that document, it is saying we need more time. We need a bigger group. We need more money. It is an official kickoff. Everything that's in there is per what Jim said would be in it. And then I said, now this is kind of the channel part. For Lorianne, I said, don't lose sight of what just happened. The Senate requested UFO information. The Senate requested UFO, handled it as a very real thing. They funded a task force. The task force said they were overwhelmed because there's so much information. A big report goes to the Senate, but the head of the intelligence community, the DNI, Director of National Intelligence, the body that oversees all 17 branches of the intelligence community, gives us a public report. First friggin' time in history, folks. The intelligence communities came together and gave us a public report. That public report stating that UFOs are real, very serious, require a giant investigation, need tons of money. It's not any foreign agency, and it's not us. It says that in there. We already knew that. Now, and this is what I said, now all that begins with a bigger project and more money. First time in history, intelligence community gave us a public report, and the intelligence community, the head of the DNI says, and this report says, real, UFOs, real, and big deal, a big deal. Not big deal, a big deal. Okay, so there you go. Now, on that, you guys, I'm going to get into something. It's a shift of consciousness. I'm going to get back more to that in just a second. I have been receiving all sorts of download from Spirit and ET lately, and this is the nature of what I've been getting. The third dimension is a spiritual dimension. There is no separation in the other dimensions from this one. This, you know, physical is a spiritual dimension. The others are physical too. So in other words, the other dimensions are equally physical as this is physical. This is equally spiritual as they are spiritual. This is spiritual matter. Okay. Alan, exactly to everything you said earlier. Okay. There is media attention to come. I keep getting this from Spirit, and it was interesting that as I've been getting these downloads from Spirit, that Jim Semivan said, ufology, brace yourself. This report is going to cause the media to go nuts. There will be much more media attention to come. And I want to really say right now, it's very important that we, as a community of experiencers, contactees, whatever you want to label it, that we support others with experiences. All of us on here are ambassadors to other people who've had events and experiences. We need to be there for them because they're going to need us right now through this disclosure process. So all of you on here, it ain't just about you and your little thing. It's your help, your reach out. Spirit wants all of you to reach out and help 1 million people each.
Perfect.
And then
Thank
we'll
you so
scratch
much,
the surface.
Melinda.
Okay, now
Much.
more
So,
is
Melinda,
okay.
Melinda, sorry, we've got to move on. Sorry. We
Okay,
took you
just
the
real
time.
quick, one last thing.
Okay.
Obviously, much more is coming from the government. It's the beginning, as I already said. Someone out there in the community, and I don't know who, and if any of you do, you can tell me who, you can text or whatever in the chat thing, that there's a second disclosure coming. First disclosure is what we just got in the beginning and what will lead to hearings. Second disclosure is the consciousness awakening. Sorry. Sorry, I'm trying to do this fast. The consciousness awakening that will come with this disclosure, the second disclosure, you guys. Whoever came up with that term, they're brilliant. I want to give them credit, but that is it. You guys, yes, we're getting disclosure of an ET presence and UFOs. We're getting disclosure of the consciousness.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Melinda. We are going to move on because
come with it.
We've got to keep it fair for everybody. So thank you so much for everything you can.
I lost my voice in doing that, but the consciousness, you guys, that is the second disclosure, and it's
Wonderful.
here now
Thank
too.
you.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Delivered with lots of enthusiasm and energy always, which we appreciate. And so next I'd like to call on Julie, who has also been patiently waiting for a while. Julie, thank you so much for being here, and please take it away. You've got 5 minutes.
Hi, I really relate to what Terry was saying because my experiences started with seeing Sasquatch when I was a child. And then shortly after that, a matter of weeks to a month, then I saw a bubble UFO over our grocery store parking lot that had a window open in it with humanoid figures inside, 4 of them, and they waved. And I was just a little girl, but my mom, after they waved at me, I waved back and I wanted to stay with them, but my mom made us all go in the store for some reason. I couldn't imagine leaving while this thing was hanging in the sky. It was so beautiful with people in it, but everyone experiences things differently. So she may not have experienced the same thing I did, but then throughout my life, more contact happened and I would experience poltergeist activity in the house and also experience later on, psychic things. And I became more and more psychic as time went on. And I learned how to remote view. Dr. Simeon Hine taught me how to remote view, and that has made my connections even stronger. And the message I get is that the same as y'all have been getting, that it's all about love. It's all about everything is connected. The plants, the dirt, the air, the water. Put love into the water. Try to heal the planet with consciousness, because this planet is crying out for help and we really need to help her. I'm getting all emotional just thinking about it. But I've also had a couple more UFO sightings here in my older life, like in 2013, I think it was, we had a craft land on our property. And then we had a few days later, a blue light that was like a radar going around the sky, a blue beam of light that sucked in and shot off at, paranormal speeds. And I don't have any conscious, like going on craft memories, but I have scoop marks and things of that nature. And so people out there who have just seen craft and you don't have conscious memories of being on the craft or seeing beings, like I've seen Sasquatch, I saw the beings in the UFO. I had a light being in my bedroom as a teenager, but I don't remember being ever taken on a craft. And I'm just trying to say that even if you don't remember that kind of thing, it doesn't mean you're not an experiencer. And we're all here to help each other in the place that we're at. And that we've got to love each other through every phase of this development, because it really happens in phases. I would have never talked about this until a few years ago. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, you need to report your Bigfoot sighting around 2008. And so I did. And then I got on the computer and started finding a community. And that helped me come out more, and I really think it's so important that we talk about this. And I thank y'all for inviting me on, because if we don't share our stories so that other people know that, yeah, we're para, but we're normal. We are experiencing these things, and it's not an unnatural thing to experience. It's probably the most natural kind of things to experience. And that's really the big message I've always gotten, that and to learn the old ways. I've been compelled from childhood to try to learn old ways of doing things so that should the need arise, someone will know.
Wow.
And that's pretty much it for me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That is a lot that's lost, I think, in all the drama of this community. It really is us finding our groups and helping each other. It's not really the public blabbing. It's the little family groups that we make that make our whole community stronger. So I'm going to kick it over to one of my favorite researchers in the community, Preston Dennett. Can you please take your mute off and join us and share your messages from the phenomenon?
Thanks, Nicole. Yeah, I'm so excited to be a part of this panel. Thanks, Grant. Thank you all. This is really cool. Pretty excited. This is a monumental day in history. A little disappointed by the Pentagon report, but kind of what I expected. I think we are doing the right thing here by giving our own messages. This is where true disclosure is coming from. I got involved in this field, very skeptical. And over the years, it's been decades now, I've come to realize I am in contact with the ETs. It still sounds funny when I say it, but I've had a lot of sightings. They've communicated to me personally. A lot of it has been very personal messages, such as, this contactee is telling you the truth. Or one, I asked about the grays, and I got download, my one and only real download, and it made it very clear that the grays are essentially human. They are us. So that was very clear to me. But much of my effort has been in, my mission is to anchor the ET energy. That's what I was told. To let people know UFOs are real, period. Also, to let people know that there is life after death and you can travel out of body. Gerard, I forget his last name, did a whole presentation on his out-of-body experiences. I really resonated with that because I have had all those experiences as well. I've had a lot of the contact modalities, but the message I'm getting from the ETs is basically threefold. And one is warnings against nuclear proliferation, pollution, greed, our warlike ways. Those are the main messages that people are telling me. Second would be to move off of fossil fuels and that there are alternative energy sources. And the third, and I think the most important, and what is really the true ET agenda, is to wake up. People need to wake up to our own autonomy. We need to wake up to our own psychic abilities. We have the ability to do astral travel, telekinesis, levitation, healing. And I really appreciated Paul's story, because this is really the main message I'm getting from ETs, is that they are here to heal us. We have become separated from source, and this is what they're really trying to wake us up to, is reconnect us to that and heal us physically and spiritually. That has been really a major part of my efforts to educate people, is that ETs are not here to hurt us. They are not a threat. They are us. They look upon us as their children. So really, we do not need to fear this phenomena. What I'm getting is that they are going to continue to come closer. This is the most recent message I'm getting. My own contact is escalating. I'm now having really vivid, I'll call them dreams, of being on board a UFO. I'm pretty sure it's real. And regarding this latest disclosure by the government, this was their kind of last chance to come clean, and they didn't do it. I don't expect them to do it in the way that needs to be done. There will be more sightings coming up that will convince the world flat out. That's the message I'm getting from the contactees. We need to wake up psychically, not fear the ETs. We need to meet them halfway and become telepathic. And it's all about healing. Healing humanity is one of their main agendas. And that's basically my message. So happy to be part of this group. Thank you very much, and I love you all.
Just to make a little addition to that, we have a video of you and I talking. You did one with the school kids. You've done a lot of books. You've done, what, 28 books? You did one on school kid encounters from around the world. And we just did one on the healing. You have a book on 300 healings from ET, because it is true that we're getting a lot of this message about the threat and all of this kind of stuff. And so I recommend people read your book about 300 healings with ET encounters, because it completely paints a different message, and I think a more sane message as to what's going on here.
Thanks, Grant.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Grant. And thanks so much, Preston, for everything you contributed as well. I have the feeling that the next person I'm going to call on is going to say that he relates very much to what you said. Mark Sims, would you like to take the opportunity to share with us as well? I know you've got something very valuable to say. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much. Well, this is an amazing event, amazing group of people. I have a bit of an announcement to make. Some of you may already be aware that I'm organizing an event that's launching July 4th through the 14th, and these coincide with Independence Day and Bastille Day, which are the two most important days having to do with personal sovereignty and the government institution associated with democracy, a form of government associated with democracy. And what we're going to be doing is gathering at a place called the Observation Deck. It's a virtual conference center. And there we are going to be having presenters, roundtable discussions, panel discussions. There's going to be experiencer panels. Some of the people here have been invited to be a part of that. I want to extend an invitation for others to be a part of that. You know, the time is very clear that we need a place to gather and to talk about these issues, not to just share our stories, which is critically important, but to begin collaborating on how do we reach out, establish contact in a responsible, meaningful way that we think could help our human family make this jump of you know, joining us in friendship and brother and sisterhood. You know, this is what it's about. And so Danny Sheehan and I are launching this event. We're going to do it on July 4th. It's going to be me and him and one other person. And I think I'm safe to say this. I think I got a confirmation from Richard Dolan. The three of us are going to open this up on July 4th in the afternoon. And we have some very big news that we're going to give on July 4th. And then over the next 11 days, we are going to be having amazing speakers. Grant Cameron is going to be joining us, Whitley Strieber, Ray Hernandez, Mary Rodwell. Nicole is going to be joining us on one of our panels of experiencers. And Preston Dennett is going to be there speaking. And then on July 8th, which is the anniversary of Roswell, we have Don Schmidt, who will be kicking off a day dedicated to UFO crashes, starting off with Roswell and the latest that we know about this event that happened in 1947. So I'm going to put in the chat the link to the observation deck where we have this just up and running now. This is where you can register. And for everybody here, there's a promotion code I'm going to give you where you can get $33 off. This is $99 for 11 days of some of the most amazing people and content that we're going to be presenting. And the theme of this is going to be initiating a global citizens diplomacy initiative. So that's our goal, is to talk about how do we as a community come together on a global stage and talk in a very serious way about a strategy for one, initiating contact, and then two, what would we do once we make contact? How do we establish diplomatic relations? We believe the citizenry of the world is really the only authentic body that can do this. And we're going to talk about a strategy, and people who are there for the observation deck can listen in and contribute and watch as some of these amazing people discuss the strategies that go to this objective.
It's going to be so amazing, I think. I'm looking forward to this. But Mark, before you leave, I would like you to share a little bit of your perspective on what's going on here and what your message from the phenomenon is. You can sum up just a little bit. Can't let you speak out.
So there are two main things that you're asking. And one, I'm in total agreement with everything that people have said here. The messages you have all been receiving is the same message I've been receiving, that it's about spiritual evolution, conscious evolution, which in turn is a spiritual evolutionary process. And the earth is a special type of place. It's a school for spiritual growth. And we learn through experience, through lifetimes upon lifetimes of experience. So we're reincarnated to continue this process, and it hones us in and prepares us for the next major stage of our evolution, both individually and as a family, a human family community. And what's about to happen is we're about to, as Alan Steinfeld so eloquently put it, we are about to be birthed into a new world. And we, as the leaders, we're kind of the crown of the head popping out. We are way showers. We, with our stories and our experiences, we can share these now freely without fear of ridicule and with authority, because we know what we've experienced is true. And now that we're talking among ourselves and reconfirming our own experiences with each other, we're getting more confident and more articulate in how we convey this in a responsible way that can reach other people who may be skeptics, which is a good thing. We're going to have a lot of skepticism. So, but part of our job here, I believe, is to help people along and introduce them to contact modalities. And so these are strategic elements of an overarching plan of making contact and establishing diplomatic relations on behalf of our human family. And it's very exciting. This is an unprecedented time in human history. 1,000 years, 5,000 years, 10,000 years from now on this planet, they're going to be talking about these years that we're experiencing together now.
Thank you so much, Mark. That is such a powerful, powerful statement. That's what the kind of thing we were hoping you were going to say, because you're so good at that. You're so good at putting things so powerfully and, making us feel inspired. So really, really thank you so much for bringing that energy.
Thank you so much.
It goes, well, I mean, you're important, to us, and everyone's stories here are so important because it is about building community and sharing our stories. I mean, that's the whole point of this event tonight, right? Is that this is disclosure already, that it is happening. It is us. It is on the ground. It is the everyday person walking around who knows that they have had something unusual happen and they want to know that other people have too. So here we are bringing everyone together, and more that's happening all over the world, right? The internet is good for something. It's helping us do that. So I'm going to just pass it back to Nicole, but just wanted to emphasize, jumping off what Mark said, that this is disclosure right here, right now. And all of you that are here are contributing to that. So thank you so much for being here. So Nicole, back to you.
Well, I'm just going to do a quick flip here, and I'd like Hildegard. I always want to call you Hildy, though. So Hildy, can you please take the mic?
Yeah, thank you. Call me Hildy. That's great. I feel so honored to be here. Thank you so much for organizing, Grant and Sinead and Nicole, everybody, Desta. I just want to read you very small passage that just fell into my hand. I wrote it because it stuck with me way back then. I'm a walked in it 29 years ago from Andromeda. So to me, there is nothing more real than my telepathic contact with those who helped me recover my health when the expert medicine gave up on me at 33. I was a mother of 3 little children. I raised not just 3, I had another child after the doctor had said I was not going to see the ones I had grow up from kindergarten, never mind graduate from university. How did I do that? Because apparently I had a soul contract. I very much believe I'm a multidimensional being, simultaneously existing in a variety of dimensional realities. Can I describe them in detail at this point? No, because I have not been wired enough to be able to remember all of that. But a gentleman earlier said, my dreams, I think it was Preston, get so more intensive. Well, for me, it's almost like a waking dream. And when I was going through struggles, I was tidying up papers and I found this and I wrote this in a very scribbly voice. It's a quote by Max Planck, a physicist, early 20th century, 1910 or 12, I don't know exactly the year. He said, we must assume behind this force, like he had discovered a force, well, this is the advent of quantum physics, right? There is the existence of a consciousness and an intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter. So I believe very much it's all about consciousness. There are no levels, there is no separation. We always have been in contact with various aspects of our multidimensional essence. And when I speak light language, or when I get this impetus to say certain things that my logical mind doesn't comprehend, I know I'm just dialing into a different vibration. And I want to just say that through that guidance, the book Walk-ins came about. It's written by Sheila Seppi. Sheila is a walk-in herself. And she was guided. And what is a walk-in? Very quickly, most of you might know. I call it a software upgrade. It's either a soul essence exchange or various upgrades in different people. There was a conference, the first ever conference on walk-ins in January. It was hosted by Portal to Ascension. You can probably still find it at Neil Gower. Ellen was there. hosting. It was a phenomenal event. And to me, yes, it gave me confidence because there are people all around the globe that have a variety of different walk-in experience. And it took different people, different lengths of time to actually gain trust, to listen to that subtle guidance. And this is what my book's going to be all about, Your Universe, Your Way. We have to listen to the very subtle messages from our soul software. You use a GPS traveling places? Well, we have never been educated how to use and listen to and then to act upon our unique inner guidance system. And this is the time. Yes, we have helpers, but what I learned from Louis Ma, my Andromedan contact aspect friend, he says always, you are the people you are waiting for. It's your planet. As you as individuals transform your life, you live according to your value system, which has shifted since we had contact in various ways. We are the ones who are transforming this matter. And yes, when the time is right, when the individual consciousness have evolved, then we'll have open contact, no doubt about it. I also want to give a plug for Sheila's book. So it's walk-ins, so walk-ins.org. And we have created what's called the Wish Alliance. It's like walk-ins and hybrids and different kind of people who had similar experiences getting together in an open forum once a month on a Thursday. And it's just sharing, it's an outreach. I will put the info in the chat, both for Sheila's book on walk-ins and also about the Wish Foundation. And thank you so very much. If it wouldn't have been for Grant, coincidentally, I met him years ago and he said, Hildy, you got to talk about this and you got to create an experiences group. So every Wednesday we have a group online, call it the Toronto Experiences Group. Some of you are here. And a big shout out to Carl, who was very instrumental in getting me the courage to actually do this. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here and for giving me that platform to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you for taking up the challenge to take care of Toronto and all their experiencers. Thank you.
It's great fun. Thanks, Gwen.
Thank you, Hildegard. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. April, would you like to go next? You've also been waiting for a while to share your story. If you'd like to go ahead, you've got 5 minutes.
5 minutes is a short time, and it's probably too much time for me. But thank you very much for inviting me here. I had to really think, what do I want to share? And I'm one of those people that take regular photographs of UFOs and other things. I call them people. I don't really feel comfortable calling different entities beings. So for me, they're people, and I mainly see light people and others. And so I take photographs, and I originally started, it's like a frequency would come and it's like, okay, go outside 3 o'clock in the morning, take a photo. And that was going on for quite a while. And I've gotten many photos of different things. And I changed the rules. So there is definitely communication happening, because I said, I want daytime photos. I mean, these nighttime photos are nice and you get the, you get an idea what you're looking at, but daytime photos, those are way better. So it's almost daily now that I get these daytime photos. So what do I do with these photos? I had to be a responsible experiencer. So I, with the help of a friend, started a photo blog. It's just total facts. Like, this is the photo, this is what you see. This is, I get a lot of photos with my motion camera now too. So that's quite interesting because it's very independent. It has date, time stamped on it. So I personally have had healings from people, and I don't think it's always particularly safe for the extraterrestrials, interdimensionals on our Earth. I think they are targeted At least that's what I've witnessed. And so we, need to be, it's all love and light, but there's also the realities, different side of what's going on in our world. And I think people should not be afraid. UFOs, aliens, if they come in the room, they should not be afraid. I don't watch movies, so I don't know, the fear factor, but I know there's a lot of movies and it would probably feed fear, but the fear is it's useless energy. If you're happy, you show love, forgiveness, so much more fun being like that. And I think it helps me maybe interact more. So I noticed with aliens, they don't speak English. So that's, you have to develop a different way of communication. You have no choice. So for me, it's frequency. And they've helped me in many, many ways. I've learned how to use technology, different technologies and stuff, but I'm still in the discovery stage because I always seen UFOs and I've always seen this, and then something big happened and I was like, what the hell? And nobody talked about UFOs. I've been with people, they've seen them, they forget all about it right away, which is mind baffling. It's got to be technology. They got to be using technology on these people. But anyways, I got off my thought. So people don't see. I lost my thought. Nicole, what was I?
Well, that's okay. I got to cut you off with your time anyways.
Okay.
Thank you, April, for sharing.
Okay.
And you're so right. There are so many of us, that are still figuring things out. And there is a huge learning curve. I know so many of us speak with a confidence, and that is sometimes misjudged because, we are confident in what we experience and what we've sorted through, but there's still the other side that we are still figuring out that just goes on and on and on and on. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I'll just add, I'll put in the link, my paranormal website. I make all my photos available for people to view, think what they want, but they're there. So,
excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And everybody, I know this is going to be a big disappointment, but we are up against our time wall and we've blown past it. So I do have to cut about 7 of you off. If you remain with us, we are going to send out another link so you can join us for this kind of second half after party that we're going to do. So Richard, Timmy, Carl, CE5 Citizen Report, Candace, and Chris, if you want to hang out as we shut this down, we can get a link to you so you can rejoin us here in about 20 minutes. I think that's what we're going to do. Grant, you want to jump in and say anything?
I have just stuck the link into the chat box. So anybody wants to join, and we'll talk a little bit about the disclosure that took place today, or the report. So it's the web Zoom address there. You can copy it down and we'll rejoin in about 15 minutes on a different channel.
And to anybody listening on YouTube, we'll share it to Facebook. And I believe my YouTube under Nicole Sackage is where it's going to be broadcasting live next. So thank you, everybody in the chat rooms. And thank you to all of our guests for White House UFO. I'm Nicole Sackage.
We don't see the link, Grant. Can you put it in again?
I can share it right now, too.
Hang
But
on.
good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Sinead, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Here's the link in the chat.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. It was wonderful. And thank you, Grant and Nicole, for all the work that you put into doing this.
This is a lot of fun. Good job, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you for hosting. It was wonderful.